for the show, the most anticipated movie for 10 years that we didn't get a movie of. Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 6, spoiler talk. This is the last time that we will have a spoiler talk about episode or about an Obi-Wan episode, at least until they may or may not do a season 2. We don't know. They did kind of set up for it. But, okay. Overall, Seth, positives. What did you like about episode 6? What are the strengths of this episode for you?
Obi-Wan and Vader. The whole dynamic. Mm-hmm. The whole dynamic. I am not one of the people who loves this show. I don't dislike the show. You know, I'm right in the middle. It's not amazing, but it's not bad to me either. I thought episode 5
that seems to be like the most popular consensus, actually.
I thought episode 5 was awful. But I thought 1 through 4 were just good. Mm-hmm. And I thought episode 6 was really good. I'll admit, I could not get into the Reva stuff.
It was a very poorly written character. So
it was a poorly done thing, and it was like happening in the middle of Vader versus Obi-Wan. And it's like, okay, you're cutting back to Reva in the middle of this fight. We want to get back to the fight. That's what we want to see right now is the fight. And it's not like Luke or Owen or Uncle Owen or Aunt Beru are in danger. Like, we all know they survive. So it's like...
there weren't any stakes there. Well, to be fair, we all kind of know the future of everybody. So there's no stakes with the fight. And
there's no stakes with the fight either, but it was just...
We just wanted to see it.
That's a bigger thing, though. Like, that's
why we watched this show, was to watch that battle. That was pretty much it. And that's a great point. The whole Reva thing was such a misstep, such a poorly executed part of this series. I don't quite understand why Reva was there. I don't understand what her integrity is. I don't understand what her point is. You know, she starts off, you know, she's hunting Obi-Wan because she wants to be the Grand Inquisitor. And then she gets Obi-Wan, and now Obi-Wan's story arc, I think it was episode 3 or 4. I can't remember. It could have been 5. I don't know. They all kind of mesh together now. When he looks at Reva and he goes, "You're not bringing me to Vader. I'm bringing him to you," because he knew that she wanted to take Vader out.
Yeah,
he knew before we knew as an audience.
I think that was episode 5. Yeah.
And why didn't we know? Because they didn't fucking give us any story. They didn't tell us anything. Like, we just oh, that's what her true plan is. Okay, got it. Thanks for telling us. And poorly written, dialogue. Thank you. Exposition is the word I'm looking for. That character was just such a misstep. She was this, then she wanted to take out Darth Vader, and then she wanted to take out Luke because she wanted Darth Vader's acceptance again. I was very confused by what all that was. And then they're doing that last thing during this pretty awesome fight that's going on between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. God, it was that sucks. It sucks that that's the route they went. But I agree with you. I really enjoyed that last fight. I thought they paid homage to a lot of fan service, but in the right way. You know what I'm talking about when Darth Vader stood above him.
I didn't even think of that.
I
never thought of that.
You would have to be the only person in the world that didn't think about that. But
I haven't seen a single other person mention it either.
Really, dude?
Yeah,
no, it was. I have it in my notes. These are the notes that I took when watching the episode. Yeah, and it says right here. It says Darth got the high ground. And he had the high ground, and they didn't tell you. It was one of those universal things like that. I know what they're doing. They told a story through illustration, and I think that's a lot of what this show is missing.
I think, you say paying homage. One of the things that caught my eye, or I guess would be right before the fight started, Obi-Wan says, "I will do what I must," and that's what he says before he fights Anakin in Revenge of the Sith too. He's facing Anakin, and Anakin has his back turned to him, It's like right before the fight starts, Obi-Wan says, "I will do what I must," and he says the exact same thing in this right before this new fight too. And I caught that too.
Yeah, there was a few moments like that. Hello there.
There.
Did you catch that?
Of course I caught that. Yeah, of course I caught that.
And that's good. That's fun. That's popcorn fan service, but it's like none of that was earned, man. like I didn't tune into Obi-Wan just to watch him repeat lines that he already said in 20 fucking years ago.
I think this episode honestly stands well on its own. Outside of the Reva stuff. Like if you it stands well on its own. This episode is a lot better than any other episode in this series, I thought. And I'm not one of those people that's just like, oh come on, let's just get to the action. That's not all I want from this show. I'm not sitting here like, oh, I only want to see Vader versus Obi-Wan. Me, before the show came out, I was against Vader even being in it. Yeah. I didn't want him to be in it. But
I did. I still will advocate for a Vader solo movie or series.
I want a Vader movie.
As long as they just amp up the production and actually put somebody in the writing seat who gives a crap about, not just fan service, but the actual story.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast and someone said, it seems like they said, hey, you want to see Obi-Wan and Anakin fight again? Sweet, cool. Let's put out a series. And then they just wrote whatever to lead to this moment rather than actually fleshing out a full story where that ended up being the natural conclusion of it.
I'll say this though, as much as the series overall kind of was disappointing to me, the moment after the fight with the broken mask might honestly be one of my top 5 favorite moments in the entire franchise. Because that was it was such a good moment, and there's so many little details there. The Sith's eyes are yellow. Vader's eyes were not yellow that whole time. They were going back and forth between yellow and Anakin's regular eyes.
Yeah, and
you can
see the voice modulator doing the same thing. I thought that was a very unique element added to it.
You can see it. That little bit of Anakin is still in there, and obviously we know that now. Obviously we know how his arc ends, but it's cool to see it from the very beginning. Anakin's always been there, that little piece left of him. And I thought this was a good way to show that.
Well, it's kind of. I can see that, but you can also see where Anakin, kind of pokes out a little bit, but then Vader just pulls him back in, and that I do enjoy that aspect of it. And another thing I did want to point out real quick, Seth, is why aren't more things made out of whatever Darth Vader's helmet is made out of in Star Wars world? Because it took a beating from the lightsaber.
It did.
And it didn't even affect his flesh. It just took care of the helmet. The helmet did its job, man. They shouldn't really make more things out of that material. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I've talked about pointless cameos before in the Marvel shows, like Kingpin, in Hawkeye, and it's okay, well, if you've never watched Daredevil, then that Kingpin cameo in Hawkeye means nothing to you. Right. Means nothing to you. This show, I thought, did a good job at using the cameo. And I'm talking about Qui-Gon, of course. Yeah. They've been building up to it since the beginning. And I could have told you from episode 1, Qui-Gon is absolutely going to show up in this show. Yeah. And
they did play heavy into the previously on Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was cool to see Qui-Gon again. I've always liked Qui-Gon. So even if it was just a couple seconds, I like seeing him again.
Well, and let's put a pin in that, because I do want to talk more about that Qui-Gon that cameo and where that could lead to. But I've listened to a few podcasts and a couple of YouTube channels, and one thing that people aren't really talking about is the Emperor was also in this.
Yeah, the Emperor was in this too. I remember when right before the show came out. He did look a little weird, yeah. I remember when right before this show came out, the guy that plays the Grand Inquisitor was talking about it, and he said, "Oh, there's a lot of really fun cameos." And I thought to myself, "Oh, here we go."
Here comes
I'm like,
Jar Jar.
Yeah, I'm like, here we go with all these pointless cameos. And I said to myself, the only 2 cameos I could possibly ever want in this show are Emperor and Qui-Gon. I was like, those are the only 2, at least in my mind, like before watching the show, that make perfect sense to be in this show.
Yeah,
And
I would have liked to have seen a Yoda cameo also, personally.
I don't know how that would work, but like, it would have been interesting.
What do you mean you don't know how to?
He's in Dagobah. He's hiding off in Dagobah.
Well, still, like Force Ghost, whatever. And we still
alive.
What's that?
I said Yoda's alive though. There's no.
Well, whatever. He could do Force stuff, you know. He could show up in his head, at least a vocal cameo, at least. You know.
Yeah, I know.
Follow your heart, you will, or whatever the heck he would have said. Okay, so what? Why not?
I don't know. That was funny. I don't know why that was funny.
So going back to Qui-Gon, and I still think that Star Wars needs to come out with their own alcohol label called Qui-Gon Gin and Tonic. And but anyway, that was number one. Liam Neeson. It's amazing because I know for a fucking fact they didn't spend any money to de-age him. You know, if they didn't de-age Anakin and Obi-Wan, then they're not going to de-age Liam. But he looked good. He didn't look like he aged a bit. He looks exactly the same as he did in the original movie.
Yeah.
Or in the movie that he originally appeared in. And now his showing up at the end, you're like, come on, we've got lots of work to do. That was literally like, I think this entire 6-episode series was leading up to a season 2, and that season 2 being what we probably expected season 1 to be. You know, a Obi-Wan true character study where it doesn't fall into fan service. I think this was like fan service. We got it out of the way. Now we're going to show his true training of what he actually was doing. You know, the last 10 years. Before he meets Luke. I
will say this though: if they do a season 2 and they do make it like that, I hope we don't see Qui-Gon again, because I don't want them to overdo it. You know, like because what I mean by that is I'm going to use The Mandalorian as an example. Luke showing up at the end of The Mandalorian, like, whoa, that's cool. You know, we got the cool Luke cameo, but then he was in Boba Fett, and he was there for like the entire episode, and it was like, you're overstaying your welcome. I know you're Luke Skywalker, but you had your cool moment, and now you're just kind of here for no reason. So, I don't want that to happen again with Qui-Gon. This moment was good enough.
Do you know who my dad is?
This moment was good enough for me, and I thought it was a good moment with Qui-Gon, and I don't want him to just kind of be like hanging around in the second season, you know, like relaxing, drinking a beer, like just chilling out.
Like Egon's ghost in Ghostbusters Afterlife,
where he just kind of sticks around. Like,
so you guys want to catch a movie or something?
Yeah, like I don't want it to be like that. So I have his voice, you know, and people are pointing it out. Him showing up kind of breaks canon, because it has been said multiple times throughout the Clone Wars show that Qui-Gon can't be a Force ghost. He can only like use his voice. He can only speak. He can't show up.
Why?
But now he can. He never learned how.
Oh.
Yeah, he didn't train beforehand.
Well, I don't think
how to do it.
I don't think sticking to straight canon is this series' strong suit. They take canon, they bend it just enough to where you're like, wait a minute, but and then like, you know, but they don't break it. You know, like it's kind of like we're, you know, they didn't say when they last met. They just said that he was the student.
Yeah,
you know, like which I do think they kind of did a decent job explaining that Obi-Wan and Darth meeting. You know, they did actually one thing that this show I thought did really well is they did try their best to make sure that line in the original Star Wars movie, I was just a pupil or something like that, and you were the master. Now I am the master. Yeah. I think they did a decent job of having Obi-Wan be explaining or illustrating that Darth is still a student. You know, they even had Darth Vader in this episode look down at, you know, when he's had the high ground and he's looking down and he's like he called Obi-Wan master, still identifying him as master. Like,
Yeah.
And then when they showed, I think it was the last episode or maybe 2 episodes again, they're all kind of meshing together in my head, where they did the flashback and he was, you know, sparring with Anakin.
Yeah.
You know, they made it very clear there, you know, like, you can't go for the kill. You know, if you keep going for the kill, you haven't learned what you need to learn yet. You're just a student, you know. And and then when he escaped from Darth Vader by doing the bait and switch with the ship, you know, it was a way of him saying, see, I'm still the master. You're still the student. You're still the pupil, you know.
Yeah.
I think they that was like one thing they really did hone in on to make that line still relevant if you watch this and then go immediately into, you know, Star Wars A New Hope. And it's one of the few things I think they actually spent some time on doing. But with that being said, is there anything else in this episode that you really enjoyed?
I mean, I kind of touched on everything and just
okay. All right. I thought so. I wanted to make sure I didn't cut you off.
I'll say this, you know, people have been saying, oh, they wasted Hayden Christensen. You know, like, why promote him coming back when he's barely there? I'll be honest, he was there, but like, I'll be honest, I think, let's say theoretically, the only time we saw Hayden Christensen was the end with the cracked mask. I think that's
not the only time we saw him. We saw him.
That's why I said theoretically. Let's say
sorry, I missed that theoretical part. My bad.
Let's say if that was the only scene we ever saw him in, I think that's enough. Because I thought that was such an impactful moment, such like a big moment, that it would justify bringing him back for 3 minutes of that scene, covered in makeup and half of a mask. Like, I don't know. I want a Darth Vader show
or a movie.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's dive down Darth Vader a little bit, because I loved seeing Darth Vader in this show. Like, I thought they handled him pretty well, except he just didn't feel full Darth Vader yet. Like there was questionable decisions, like when he stabs Reva and he just leaves her there. Like, why would he even think to do that? You know, like you're a ruthless murderer. You've killed younglings. Just kill her? You know, it was an obvious plot point just to get her forward, you know, so she can do some more pointless shit, you know, stuff that makes no fucking sense. And while we're on, okay, you know what? Forget Darth Vader. That's pretty much all I have to say about him. Let's go back to Reva. I think Obi-Wan should have killed Reva at the very end. I think he should have killed her. This woman literally murdered children. Was cutting off people's hands, was murdering people left and right. And then, you know, all of a sudden she had a change of heart when she saw Luke. You know, and I can't do it. I let my master down. Like, this is not a very good redemption story at all.
He didn't kill Vader.
What's that?
He didn't kill Vader. Vader's way worse.
He could, because, you know, Vader shows up later. That's another great point to bring up. Like, come on, Obi-Wan. You know, you're a Jedi master. Have some balls here, man. Like, you know, like it's just Reva's. I don't know what story they're trying to tell with her, but it just did not work at all. You could pluck her out of this series and have her be a random stormtrooper. Same exact thing. It would have been the same story, I think. You know, minus the Inquisitor part. But it's just her character was so lame and so weak. Now, when it comes to some things that, one thing specifically, this is a very nitpicky thing that I did not like about the way this ended, is when Owen and what's her name, Brew. Why didn't they have a plan for this to happen? Like, when Reva came down, she's like, hey, you know, I'm coming after your kid, you know, and like they knew she was coming, And they go, so what do we do? And they're like, here's some guns that we have that look like shoot actual bullets instead of lasers. Like it was literally a sawed-off shotgun. I don't know. To me, that was another one of those moments, many moments that this show has where they just didn't think it through. To me, Owen and Beru would have had a plan. If this is going to happen, this is what we're going to do. Yeah. And I thought they were going to pull that off. I thought when they moved that rock or whatever, and there was like that secret door there, I thought, okay, this is it. This is smart writing. They had a plan for this because they knew this was a very good possibility. That kid's dad is Darth Vader. There's a good chance he might come looking for him. Yeah. But they didn't have a plan. And that was like seriously a big misstep to me, and specifically in this last episode. A lot of missteps in the entire series. But in this last episode, to me, it was one of the biggest missteps that they had. So,
can I talk one more thing about Obi-Wan, and then I'll kind of be done. And it kind of doesn't. It does have to do with Obi-Wan, but it has more to do with the fandom. I talked about this a little bit last time. What I'm referring to, though, specifically is people saying that the Obi-Wan learning Anakin is alive breaks the canon. No, it doesn't. Because people are like, oh, he knew Anakin was Darth Vader. Why is he so surprised? That's not what he's surprised by. He's surprised that Anakin's alive. He knew that Anakin was Darth Vader. And I don't know. I see people complaining about it, but they're like complaining about the wrong thing. And it doesn't make sense.
I don't think I understand what you mean.
People. So
he knew that Anakin and Darth Vader were the same person?
Yes.
When did he learn that?
Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, I must have missed that. Like, do you have a line of dialogue, or like what? How did he learn? I don't remember that.
They're watching some footage like of the hologram of when Emperor like called him Darth Vader for the first time. Right there. That's when they learned. Obi-Wan is watching that happen.
But was he wearing the Darth Vader suit?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
But he called him Darth Vader.
Okay. I don't remember that.
Emperor called him Darth Vader. So Obi-Wan knew Anakin was Darth Vader. But people are saying, because remember when Reva was all like, oh, Anakin Skywalker, he's alive, kind of thing. And and Obi-Wan was super shocked by it. For some reason, there were people that thought he was shocked that Anakin was Vader. And it was like, no, that's not why he was shocked. He knew that Anakin was Vader. He didn't know Anakin was still alive. And that's what he was shocked by. And it's literally just, I'm
sorry to interrupt you, man, but like when you say he thought he was surprised that Anakin was alive, so you're saying that Obi-Wan thought that Darth Vader was somebody else?
I don't think he knew Vader existed. Well, I don't think he knew.
You said that he saw that hologram where
that was in Revenge of the Sith. That was before he had killed Anakin. He thought he had killed Anakin.
But he called him Darth Vader.
Right.
Right. So you don't think he would have put two and two together?
No, I don't think he knew that Darth Vader was alive.
Or Anakin was alive, yeah.
Same person. He's been in hiding for the last 10 years. I don't think he knew that any of these people were alive. Obviously, he knew that people were running, like the Empire was in control. He probably thought it was Palpatine that was doing everything. And it is, but he didn't realize Vader was alive, is my point.
Okay. Now I'm picking up what you're throwing down. It's so weird when you have these dual personalities. So you think in whole, he thought Anakin and Darth Vader were both gone.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He thought they died. But people didn't understand that for some reason, and people just got super confused by it. And because I even saw people posting like, "Oh, this is proof that the writers did not watch Revenge of the Sith." It's like, what? Nothing's wrong here. You're the one misunderstanding it,
right?
Not the writers.
Well, and whatever. When it comes to the Star Wars fandom, let's put everybody from the Star Wars fandom and lock them in a room with the hashtag Release the Snyderverse people and let them have fun.